Hello, welcome to Menacing MTG. Today we have a mono blue deck that incorporates flash and a lot of counters. I mean, counter spells bounce, not counters on creatures. So let's take a look at this deck. It's fast moving, and most of this is played on the opponent's turn. So let's take a look here. So we have one Curious Obsession. This is a great card. One drop to drop on a creature that you get on the board. Gives it +1/+1 and has whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. At the beginning of your end step, if you did not attack with this creature, sacrifice Curious Obsession. Okay, so you have to attack every turn that you have it on there or you lose it. So then we have one Siren Storm Tamer. This is a flyer for 1/1. It does not have flash, but it has pay 1 blue mana, sacrifice Storm Tamer, and counter target spell or ability that targets you or a creature you control. 4 Spectral Sailors. This does have flash. It's flying 1/1 for 1 drop. And you can pay 4 and draw a card. So that's a valuable attribute. 2 Spell Pierce, counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2 mana. The 2 of those. 1 Unsummon. 4 Brineborn Cutthroat. This is really kind of the beefy creature in the deck. It flashes on, and whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Brineborn. Essence Capture, counter target creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. 3 Essence Scatter, counter target creature spell. 1 Jwari, you can also use it as land, target counter spell, unless its controller pays 1. 3 Lofty Denial, counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. If you control a creature with flying, which we have a lot of them, then the player needs to pay 4 instead. 2 Quench, counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. 1 Riddle Form, enchantment. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may have Riddle Form become a 3/3 Sphinx with flying in addition to its other types until end of turn. And it also has the ability to pay 3 and scry 1. So this is in addition to the deck that is counter to having kind of a universal instant and flash component, but it does bring the ability to kill an opponent quicker once you have the advantage of creatures on the board and are bouncing everything. 1 Cunning Nightbonder. This is a flash creature, 2 drop. Spells with flash cost you 1 less to cast. So if you have that on the board, then the Brineborn comes in for 1. Just 1 of those. 4 Brazen Borrowers. Again, if you had Cunning on the board, you would bring on this as a flyer for 2 drop. But it has its instant is pay 2, return target non-land permanent, and owner controls to its hand, and then it can flash in the creature 3/1. 3 Convolute, counter target spell unless its owner pays 4. 1 Crashing Tide. This spell has flash as long as you control a merfolk. There are some merfolks in here, particularly the Brineborn. Return target creature to its owner's hand and draw a card for that card. Didn't say please. 2 of these. Counter target spell. Its controller mills 3 cards. 3 Winged Words. This spell costs 1 less to cast. If you control a creature with flying, draw 2 cards. So we have a lot of flyers out here. Needless to say, it's likely you're going to be able to pay 2 and draw 2 cards. Bargain. 1 Torrential Gear Hulk. Okay, this has flash. It's a 6 drop. When he enters the battlefield, you may cast a target instant card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell would be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. Okay, it's unlikely you're going to get this, and more unlikely that you're going to be able to play it, but if the stars align and you get Cunning Nightbonder on the board, it drops the cost of that spell to 5, which is pretty fabulous for a 5/6 creature and being able to play a counter spell at the same time. So just put that in there because it is kind of a backbreaker. And then we have 20 islands, which is probably more than you need, but we want to have enough mana so that in pretty quick order we can do 2 things in a turn, like be able to flash on a creature and have a counter spell. Okay, so let's play a few games and see how it goes. Okay, here we are, game 1. Just jumping right in here. These play pretty fast typically. We get to go first, which is great, and we have cheap bounce spells in hand. So just hoping they'll play anything turn 1, and they do not. We will hope for a Brineborn here soon, and we're going to go ahead and bounce that. Get the Gear Hulk, we're far from that. Pass the turn. And they're going to continue to try. And I'll bounce it. Reluctantly bounce that. Okay, and next. Now we could be in a bit of a spot here, but we do have the Borrower to remove something, so. And we have to definitely bounce that. Okay. And now we've got what we need. See, we have the Essence capture only bounces a creature spell, but Lofty Denial will do that task. So we're going to throw this on first, then the player has to pay 4 instead of 1 if we have a flyer on the board, so that's nice synergy right there. They now have 5 mana, so we're going to throw down. They are gaining life by having these things bounce, but this is the second Karn bounced, and that has to hurt. 2 Karns down. And they're going to... We can't play things from the graveyard, but we don't play things from the graveyard. So we'll just shoot in here. And we really want to draw 2 cards here. And there's a creature though, and I'm glad I waited because Essence Capture will drop a 1/1 counter on the Sailor. Our turn. Now we don't have any more bounce. Of course they don't know that. They're still over 20. We really want to do Winged Words here. We can drop both a Sailor and Winged Words, but we're going to make them worry about bounce here. Aether Hub, okay, so they do have something. Okay, so they're going to go ahead and kill that, and that is fine. We're going to play the Winged... Well, I guess they're not letting us. That's sorcery speed, that's why. Yep, so we'll let that go. And then we're going to toss up the Sailor. And then pass to our turn. Okay, Convolute. Okay. We're going to go ahead and do Winged Words here. We're in a bit of a spot. We do get that, so that's excellent. So we'll likely drop this on the opponent's turn unless it's something we feel we need to send back to hand. They're scrying. We lose that card. Here comes Karn. Not too happy about that. We'll throw it down Brineborn. And this is going to hurt. Okay, so Forsaken Monument. Yeah, that's cool and all, but they're going to lose Karn, and we're going to bounce that. So We have 4 mana at this point, and so we can convolute. They do have a lot of mana, but that's a 5-drop, so we're going to go ahead and drop this on the Sailor. And we're going to come and whack Karn. That's 3 Karns down. And he's going to try to play it. And he won't get it. That's very frustrating for him. It bumps up the Brineborn. And I'm tempted to play... well, we'll draw a card with Sailor. So before we play Winged Words, we're going to see what we get. Kind of like a land here. We do get a land. And we're now going to play Winged Words. And another land, which is going to mean we're close. Next turn, we'll have Torrential Gearhulk available. So we'll stop there. We have the Borrower available to send something back to hand. They still have 15 life here, and there is a 4th Karn. There are 2 different varieties going here, but that is too bad. But we can convolute it, I believe. He has 3 mana available, and he loses that. He does gain a life, though. He is at least gaining a life when he does that. Okay, that hurts bad. So now we have the Gearhulk available. We're going to draw a card, and now they're down to 10, and it's looking very tough for them. We're going to sit, because Gearhulk is about to come on the board, folks. Yeah. They have 4 mana, so we're going to... Yeah, that's game. I didn't get to play it, but Torrential Gearhulk was ready, so that's what you get right there. We'll play another. Okay, we'll pick up this game. Just had, this is turn 3. I only have 2 mana. Now it's turn 4. They went first. We got Brineborn out, but we do have Quench in hand. And we get to bounce that. Karn again. I don't believe this is the same player that I played last. But come on in. We have another Quench in hand. So I just want to point out, this may be the same darn player. They had sleeves like this. I just want to point out that this is a cheap deck. I mean, Brazen Borrower is a pricey card, but that's the only thing in here of any value at all. Discard a card. I don't like that. I think we'll get rid of Winged Words. We have one in hand. But my point is that this is like a cheap deck and easy to build. And this thing, if you hadn't noticed, is running Mythic. And this is winning a lot of games in Mythic. So this can carry you right here. I mean, you'll annoy the hell out of people, but... And here comes Quench number 2. Now, I don't have much more bounce here. I have Creature Bounce. Oh, I do have this, but I don't have the mana for it. So I'm kind of tempted to put down Riddle Form at this point. I don't have a flyer to use Winged Words. I'm in a bit of a spot. I do have the Brazen Borrower, so we're just going to come on in. He's down to 8, so he can bring something on, and I can bring it right, send it right back. This is about the worst case scenario for this deck here. Alright, we did get mana, which is awesome. And we're just going to stay put here. We'll bounce that. Garruk, yeah, no doubt. Alright. And now we have the Sailor. And we have the ability to bounce a creature. But we haven't seen a creature yet, and we may not see a creature, but we can return a permanent to hand. So we will bring Sailor on their turn, and then use Borrower to remove something unless it's a creature. And here comes a creature. So we're going to first go like this. Then we're going to go like this. Put the counter on the Sailor. It's a 2/2. They can play something now that's wide open. And here it comes, Shatter the Sky. Jeez, ouch, okay. Well, we finally got a mana. And I think I'm just going to stay put right here. I can flash on a Borrower, and then I'd be able to, following turn, play Winged Words. And we're going to flash on the Borrower, and they may have a kill spell. If they have one, they don't show it. We run Winged Words, get a mana, don't get a bounce, unfortunately. But we do have Cutthroat. So we'll come in with Borrower, and they're down to 3. We're going to just not pile things on the board as a result of seeing that Shatter to the Sky. And there it is, another victory. Didn't lose a life in that game. So that's it. Quick video. Really effective deck. Strongly suggest you build it. If you have any interest in climbing the ranks up to Mythic. It's pretty simple to play once you get used to the mechanics. Please consider subscribing, liking, feedback, suggestions, any of that stuff. I really appreciate if you could do that. Hope you have a great day, and hope you enjoyed this. Take care.